Homeowners, when was the last time you checked on your home title? That's the legal record proving that you own your home. If your answer's never, then this is for you. Scammers, yeah, they're stealing titles and the equity in your home. That's their target. That's why I partnered with Home Title Lock, so you can find out today if you're already a victim. Use my promo code Anthony at HometitleLock.com, and you'll get a free title history report. Plus, you'll get a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection.
This episode is brought to you by Lifelock. Between two-factor authentication, strong passwords, and a VPN, you try to be in control of how your info is protected. But many other places also have it, and they might not be as careful. That's why Lifelock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit lifelock.com/podcast for 40% off. Terms apply.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Good evening, everybody. Anthony Cumia here. Of course, it is called the Anthony Cumia Show. That would make perfect sense. My goodness, what a weekend. It's been kind of crazy. Whirlwind. A whirlwind weekend for Anthony Cumia. The WABC gala that I went to Friday night, was it? I'm like, what? What day was that? That was a lot of fun. Just a great time. Some really cool people. And I was also in upstate New York at Villa Roma, and that was just a big party. Karaoke last night. You may hear it in my voice. I apologize. Right when my voice was getting better, too. And then I have to go up and, do some Neil Diamond and blow my voice out again. So it is what it is. But thank you all for tuning in to another wonderful Sunday evening. And, I was just at the top of the show, or actually right before the show. There's a little secret thing there, A little segment before everything really kicks off. And I was talking about Donald Trump's meme, him as Colonel Kilgore from Apocalypse Now, the amazing Robert Duvall character. That guy it was mere minutes on the screen, and he kind of owned that movie. What a memorable character from Apocalypse Now. And everyone remembers, I love the smell of napalm in the morning. It smells like victory. And some of the other things. The fact that he just was fearless. He was walking on a beach in Vietnam and bombs are blowing up next to him. And he doesn't even flinch. Everyone else is taking cover. Just a legendary character from movies. And Trump posted on social media, it was a meme, how those memes work. AI, a picture of him. And I explained it, he was making a point. I love the smell of deportations in the morning. It's just hilarious. Guy's hilarious. And, people just take it the wrong way. Because they, I guess, I don't know, they don't want him getting any credit for attempting at least to clean up the unbelievable crime, violent crime. Crime is bad enough. Pickpockets, whatever. Defecating on the streets, which, I don't know, in some blue cities, it seems like that isn't even a crime. They don't arrest people for that. I've been friends with so many cops over the course of the years, and they were on the job a while ago, 20 years ago. And it was unheard of that they would just walk by someone defecating on the sidewalk, shooting up, smoking weed. So clouds of weed smoke are going into establishments. When I go to New York City, which I did this weekend, I frequent a bar on 35th Street right around 7th Avenue. And they're one of these great little Irish bars that keep the door open, you know. They keep the front door propped open, and you walk in, and everyone's sitting at the bar having a good time. And every so often, there's a cloud of smoke that wafts into the place. Now, I don't particularly dislike the smell of weed. You know, in small doses. You're like, oh, that smells, that's weed. But then again, in small doses, as you're driving, I also don't mind the smell of a skunk. I know it's weird, but I know there are people out there that feel the same way. A very light waft of skunk while you're driving through the country, and gasoline. Again, very little waft of gasoline. It's like, oh yeah, okay, there's gas. So weed kind of fits in that. But I don't want a giant cloud of it coming in while I'm enjoying maybe some of the bar food or a beer or something. And no one does anything about it. No one does anything about it. There are 4 or 5 guys hanging out in a van or in their vehicle right in front of the bar, just smoking weed. And it's a nuisance. It's a public nuisance. But, blue cities, especially New York City, they don't care. They don't care. I can't remember the last time I saw an NYPD officer kind of rousting a couple of people, a group of people, for doing something that the citizens don't want to have happen, like smoking weed on the sidewalk. It's legal. Yeah, not to just smoke anywhere. Booze is legal too. You can't walk down the street swigging on a bottle of vodka. Although these days you probably could. You probably could. But, like I was saying, cops don't do anything. And the old school cops were, they tell stories about that. That's how you'd found somebody that might have had a weapon on them. What are you doing over here? You're defecating on the sidewalk. Do you have ID? Put him against the wall. Give him a little frisk. And, quality of life. And they called it, broken window policy, where the small crimes, the things that were deemed nuisance crimes and small things, would lead to something more important, like someone with a weapon or a warrant, whatever it may be. But that doesn't happen anymore. And we've seen the results of this. We have seen the results. Just pandemonium in the streets. Letting people jump turnstiles. Pandemonium in the subways. Stupid Mem Danny, we'll talk about him, but his plan of free buses. Free fast buses. And again, all you're doing, look at what has transpired in New York City. All you're doing by offering free buses is making sure that any piece of garbage with ill intent can now just jump on a bus, stink it up, have his carts full of garbage, and perhaps pull a knife on somebody. That's how it works, because you're not putting that little barrier in place, like a reasonable fare to get on a bus. I think what people want more than paying for the service itself is paying for security. You're paying for a little bit more security on that bus. Because I don't think people feel they're getting their money's worth by getting on a train or a bus. Technically, technologically, schedule-wise, it's like, yeah, that's not worth it. The fare for the bus, not worth what I'm getting to get from point A to point B. But I think if you talk to anybody that commutes on a regular basis on public transportation in any large city, sort of takes the fare as a barrier between them and these savages that just walk in onto the subway platforms or onto a bus to wreak havoc on the citizens that have to feel like complete suckers these days going to work, paying their taxes. They're not safe. We see it all the time. But you take away that one little barrier, a few bucks to get on that subway or bus, and they've allowed it on the subway. They don't care if people are walking through the emergency exits or jumping turnstiles. They don't care. And it's not just an insane loss of revenue, because, again, the suckers, the people that actually pay, that don't cause problems, that are going to and from work to pay for all this nonsense, they're the ones getting hurt. And then you hear the politicians, Hochul, I care. The Republicans don't care. Donald Trump doesn't care. He's one of the only people I see trying to do anything about the rampant, violent crime in these cities. And Chicago, how dare they? How dare this mayor over there, Brandon, what's his name? Anderson? I don't know. I don't even care. Johnson Anderson. Let's call the whole thing off. He is fighting tooth and nail any involvement by the federal government to curtail the murder, rape, violent robberies that are going on in his city. He doesn't care about the people that are actually contributing to society. Does not give a crap about them. And then when you fight what Trump's doing, which he's doing in D.C., and it's had amazing results. The only problem I see is it's not sustainable unless you start really prosecuting these people, showing these criminals consequence of action with real harsh sentences, not letting them out, not putting the little electronic ankle bracelet on them, not having them sign a piece of paper that says, sure, I'll come back in 8 months to answer to this. That's what's going on. And Trump's actually trying to do something. And he's fought at every turn. He's fought by every one of these Democrats in these violent blue cities because they just don't want him to come out looking good. And they need pandemonium in their cities because the dummies that vote for these liberal Democrats and socialists and whatever else you want to call them, they believe these politicians and they think they're going to be their savior. We'll save you through this caring and more wasteful programs. But we're the ones that'll do it. Then you get a guy that really wants to do it and has shown in D.C. that it is effective to come down hard on crime. And all they do is scream and moan about how he's doing things that are unconstitutional. And he's arresting citizens. And this isn't what the founding fathers would have, blah, blah. It's a disaster. We'll go over some of the numbers from this weekend in Chicago when we return. Let me quickly give the number out for your phone calls, 800-848-9222. Back in moments with more of the Anthony Cumia Show.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Yes, the Anthony Cumia Show. Let's look at some numbers from the unbelievably violent Democrat-run city of Chicago. 5 killed and 10 others wounded in shootings across Chicago. The ages of the victims, 15 to 44. Yes, literally. You know, I hate using that word because usually when people use it, it's not literally. But this is literally children being gunned down in the streets of a lot of these Democrat-run major cities, and absolutely nothing is being done about it. Nothing. They try to enact these policies and programs. They love dumping money at stuff. Democrats, Republicans too, but in this particular case, or in these cases of violent crime, of children being gunned down every single weekend in these major cities, no one wants to do anything about it. They always go to money. Democrats love saying, we need more federal funding to whatever it is. And, you know, Chicago's no different. Oh, we need programs. We need midnight basketball. Remember that one? That was an oldie. If you guys and gals, thank you, listening, remember from many years ago, there's one of their solutions to violent gang murders over the weekends was to just throw them a basketball, which could possibly be the single most racist thing I've ever heard from Democrat politicians. What? People are shooting each other. They're young men for the most part, and they're shooting each other. Toss out a few basketballs at midnight. That'll keep them occupied. Well, that failed miserably to the tune of millions of dollars. Somehow they're buying very expensive basketballs. And every program's like that. If we only had more money, we need more funding for this program and that. And then Donald Trump swoops in and goes, how about this? Arrest them. How about have a curfew? How about send in, if the police force can't do it alone, send in the National Guard. I don't know of many Americans, except for the profoundly mentally ill, that would rather see our military overseas fighting some useless, protracted war that doesn't involve us, then how about having him in our country, helping curtail crime in these crime-ravaged cities? But, oh, my God, you read, and it sounds like the worst possible thing that could ever happen. That could ever happen in our country. It's everything. It's unconstitutional. It's against the law. It's tyrannical. But it's getting results in D.C. And Trump, just the other day, was it? Or maybe even today, he was talking about Chicago to a reporter. And this is classic. I hope you could hear it because, again, it's when he walks out of the White House and, I don't know, there's a helicopter, 10 garbage trucks are picking up trash. There's 12 radios tuned to just static. But here he is really calling out one of these reporters, questioning him in one of their nasty, liberal propaganda wing of the left mainstream media ways that they do. But let's see if we could hear Trump talking to one of these reporters.
That's fake news. When you say that, darling, that's fake news.
Well, why would you the Department of Defense?
Listen, be quiet. Listen. You don't listen. You never listen. That's why you're second grade. We're not going to war. We're going to clean up our cities. We're going to clean them up so they don't kill 5 people every weekend. That's not war. That's common sense.
Yeah. Brilliant. Great line. That's not war. That's common sense. They don't seem to care that children are being gunned down like this. I mean, we hear it all the time when you get, maybe a transgender shooter goes into a school or a church and children are killed, and it's horrific, just terrible. And yes, obviously we should look at solutions for those when they rear their ugly heads. Again, I'll use the word quite literally when it's one of these transgender shootings. And, the Democrats come out and blame it on guns. We all see that. You're not overturning our Second Amendment. So find another way to solve these problems, perhaps armed security, perhaps real mental health on people that instead of patting them on the back for their bravery and courage, you lock them up in an institution because they're nuts. So, they don't want to do anything. In instances like this, you don't even hear it on the news. You don't even hear them say, hey, wow, maybe we should do something about this. And then again, Trump tries to do something, and he's the bad guy. And, I don't know anyone that could look at these Democrat politicians and mayors, especially in these blue cities, and take them seriously at all. And why doesn't the media, instead of like this woman talking to Trump about Chicago and war with the people, why aren't you interrogating the mayor of Chicago like you do Donald Trump, who's actually doing something? You'll never see that. It is pure liberal propaganda coming out of the mainstream media. And again, believe me, we're going to be talking about this Charlotte, North Carolina stabbing, brutal murder of a beautiful Ukrainian refugee girl by an animal. And we are going to talk about that. And obviously, I want to hear your take on it. But, they won't talk about that. The mainstream media has barely, if at all, mentioned that atrocity that happened. And, that should be criminal. But they got to talk to Trump. They got to bitch at him about Chicago and troops. His stormtroopers are coming in. Yeah. And rousting the bad guys. And if you're against that, you are the problem, not Trump. All right, people. I will be taking your calls. 800-848-9222. More in moments.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Yeah, it is the Anthony Cumia Show. We will go to the phones in moments. I see people already queued up wanting to talk about the train attack, the light rail as they call it, I don't know, in Charlotte, North Carolina. We have our issues here in South Carolina, but North Carolina, what a shame. That story is one of the saddest stories I've ever heard. Ever. And we'll get to that. First, though, it's my cross to bear every single week is to look through all of the idiots, the buffoons, the fools, the liars, and come up with something we like to call Clown of the Week.
The Anthony Cumia Show presents the Clown of the Week.
Thank you. Yes. Boy, I could probably do Rosie O'Donnell every week. It's not Rosie this week. Oh, we will discuss Rosie a little later. But this week, I have to give Clown of the Week to the woman that took a baseball. This Philly fan, ghoulish woman, took a baseball from a young child, a boy, at a Phillies game. Were they in Miami, I think? And, home run ball goes into the stands. There's a skirmish for it. This woman, we've all seen the clip. She's grabbing for it. A man is grabbing for it. And you see this happen all the time. The guy ended up getting it in his hand. That's how it works. There's no, well, your fingers were on it, so I guess it's yours. Whoever ends up with it in their hand, it's their ball. Now, there are a few circumstances that I think baseball fans would agree with. If you're a grown man or a grown woman and you're fighting for this ball like it's your next meal, and you get it, and there is a small doe-eyed child standing there who also was trying to get the ball, but it's just fruitless. He's a little kid. They got the little dopey hands. Could barely get it around a baseball. And you pop up and you're happy. You're cheering. I got a baseball. And you look over. And there is the face of pure innocence looking back at you with two empty hands. If you don't hand that ball to the kid, you are, I'm going to use the word garbage, but I think you know what I mean, a piece of garbage. That's part of it. It's a kid's dream. It's baseball, going to the stadium. If you bring a child with you, there's this magic. I remember my dad taking me to the Mets games when I was a kid. Oh, it was wonderful sitting there, seeing Tom Seaver the first time he was with the Mets, not at the end of his life. And, you know, I learned so much. I had great moments with Dad. I had horrific moments with the trough-style urinal at Shea Stadium. Yeah. That's a nightmare. People my age are probably listening and completely understanding the nightmare that was the trough urinal at some of these sports stadiums. It was literally a trough with just a line of men standing there. As a child, you are at a very unfortunate height at a trough. But again, live and learn, kids. Live and learn. So this woman thought the ball was hers. The father of a child got the ball and immediately, you know, was ready to hand it over to his kid. And this, you know, Karen is the word that everyone uses for this, but it's worse than just Karen. And here's my take on this. Here's where I kind of take a little fork in the road on this story. Because the story in and of itself, I don't care. It's another distraction, I guess people call it, from much more important things. It was getting more coverage on mainstream media than this poor, beautiful Russian or Ukrainian refugee that was brutally, savagely murdered. So a lot of people that would comment on this woman in the ball would bring up in the comments on social media, hey, you know, why are we even talking about this? Why is the mainstream media covering this instead of this horrific story we should all be focused on? My take on it is this is behavior that we are seeing at epidemic proportions. This goes along with this sense of entitlement that people have in this country. Unearned entitlement. This there is just a complete lack of courtesy. We see it everywhere we go, from a corner deli or bodega for you people in New York, to airlines, getting on a plane, at the airport. Anywhere you go now, there is a lack of decorum. Most people don't even know what that word means. Decorum, courtesy, pleasantry. How about we're all in it together kind of a thing? And that's what I saw in this story. I saw not just this one dopey woman who, you know, in 2025, if you do something like she did, especially to a child, your name and face and everything you do will be plastered across the internet. And whether you agree with doxing these people, putting their names and images and where they work and everything else out there, whether you agree with it or not, it is what it is. And that is what happens now. Your information will get out there, and you will pay the consequence And sometimes it's way, way out of line in balance as to what you did. Oh, I said something to somebody and it went viral. And now, that career you were working on for your entire life, gone. I don't think it's a good thing. I don't agree with it. But like I said, it is what it is. And this woman's face is just pleasant. She is the worst woman on the face of the earth right now. And it's because people are tired. They're so sick and tired of so many things. And one of them are these entitled, self-important, I'm the main character in the movie or the video game mentality that's going on right now. And this woman fits the bill perfectly. And the fact that she would take a baseball from a child, whether she took it from the father or not, you knew he was giving it to his kid. And how do you not see that? How do you not sense that? How do you not look around at the mortified people in that stadium? The people looking at you with such contempt for your actions and have a moment of clarity and go, oh, wow, I really look bad right now. and apologize and hand the ball back to the kid and tussle his hair. You're a good kid. Take this with you. Then, if it even makes any news or internet, people go, oh, good for her. She was ready to be crucified, but good for her. She saw the wrong in her actions, and there you have it. But that's not what we're about right now, is it? That doesn't fit in with the unbelievably divided nation that we live in right now. The selfishness, the apathy, the lack of real caring. That woman will probably sit there for a half hour and go into some diatribe about how caring she is for people as she snatches away a magic moment between father and son at a ballpark. But she'll tell you how unbelievably awesome she is. Well, wake up call coming, lady. It's disgusting. It's disgusting what has happened in this country. And that's the bigger story here than just some woman taking a kid. She is not alone. She is not the anomaly. People like her are so common in 2025 America. That's why there's a name for women like that, Karens. They don't come up with a name for a type of person if it's just one person. And we are just infested with these people with that attitude. And even when they're caught, there was one recently, that Polish businessman who was at the U.S. Open, the tennis U.S. Open. And obviously one of the tennis players was tossing his hat. He's very busy. He's signing things. He's tossed his hat to a child in the stands. And this dope lunges at it, grabs it, and quickly tucks it away in a bag. And again, the selfishness, the self-importance, and the complete lack of awareness that you're stealing something from a child that is at a big event, and their experience at things like a tennis game with their parents or a baseball game, football, whatever it may be, is so important in molding that child and the person they'll grow up to be. Your experiences as a kid really make you the person you are. And the idea of becoming so cynical at such a young age is terrible. Regular things are going to happen to you throughout your life, and as you're a child, and your parents try their best to protect you from those things. Society should see that you are a child and try to protect you from those things. Those are the, it takes a village moments that I do agree with, that people in a civil society should be aware that your actions seen through a child's eyes can have a much bigger impact than just more dopey adults looking at you being a complete idiot. So, you should be aware of those things. And there's a lack of that type of awareness. And, it sticks with that kid. If a guy is at a ball game and he's skirmishing for a baseball and he loses it to someone else, give me another beer. He forgot about it by the next inning. For a child, you're going to remember that moment. And you're going to remember this awful woman confronting your dad and taking something from him that was going to go to you. And it's just another black mark on his view of life and humanity. And, there's too many things in this day and age that affect kids that way that parents can't do anything about, unfortunately. But that woman, that's why I say this is a much bigger picture issue than just, someone taking a ball from a kid. Looking at the phone calls. Yeah, a lot of calls coming in about this story. Charlotte, North Carolina, the mayor of this. Let me take a call here. Let's see. Oh my God, where is it? There it is. Okay, Ed from Philadelphia, and I don't use that term lightly. Boy, you had an assassination, a daylight assassination on the street. What the hell with these cities, Ed?
First of all, it's a pleasure to talk to you. Really is. Very big fan. First time, long time. But one thing I wanted to ask you about is the footage of that attack in Charlotte was horrific. I couldn't sleep after watching that.
Terrible.
But one thing it reminded me of is back in the day, Patrice O'Neill had a joke. And I'm not gonna say the first part of it because we're on AM, but the ending bit was Patrice said if he was walking down the street in Kentucky and saw a group of bald-headed men walking towards him, he wouldn't assume they're all chemotherapy patients.
That was his bit, yeah.
But it's like when I saw that, I was like, and I lived that in life. Like I wouldn't have sat there. No. I hate to say it.
Yeah, I hate to have to say it, Ed. I hate to have to say it. I have resentment for having to be forced to look at the situation and go, I am not turning my back on that guy. I'm not sitting in the seat in front of him. And I hate you for making me act this way. But it's a survival instinct at this point. And unfortunately, she either slipped up or she was too nice a person to realize we live in a garbage society, especially in these big cities, where you have to have that head on a swivel. You have to look and assess your surroundings, especially on public transportation, and not sit with your back towards someone that you would easily profile as a problem.
Yeah, it's insane. And that guy deserves the worst of the worst. And just the fact that she was a Ukrainian refugee. I mean,
leaving a war zone
there.
She came here for safety. She came here to leave drone strikes, bombings, fires, shootings. And she comes to America, North Carolina. That sounds nice. I get on public transportation and her life is savagely ended. She could have just stayed in Ukraine. And this perception that we are a safer nation than a war zone? Nope. I don't agree with that.
No, I don't either. And one more thing, Anthony, I will say this. On X, Elon Musk had retweeted some tweet where he said, yes, this is true. the people with the Ukrainian flag in their bios weren't saying anything about this. I do have one in my bio, but I did say something on X, so that's another thing.
Mm-hmm.
But one more thing before we go, real quick. I think there's a gentleman that calls in often. His name is Steve from Manhattan. And every time he calls, I'm crossing my fingers and hoping it's Steve from Yellowstone. Oh, and I would love to see him on the show at some point.
Yes, the old character from the O&A show many, many years ago. Yes, Steve. And thank you, man. Thank you.
Thanks,
man. I
love you.
Love it, man. There you go. Yeah, it's, this story obviously should be front page news all over the country. And, I've seen some posts where people have done a little research and put the young lady's name in the search engines for various news sites, and it does not come up. And, it's infuriating. It is infuriating. And what it does divides us more. And if mainstream media and Washington and Hollywood and Madison Avenue, if their goal is to continue to divide this country even more so than it is right now, bang up job. Bang up job, guys, because you are dividing this country like I don't think we've ever seen in history. And I'm even talking, the old construction workers and hippies fighting each other during Vietnam. I think they both had an image of America that they believed in. And it was a pretty traditional view, even on the side of the dopey hippies. Now it's just completely different. Some people want a communist America. Some people want an Islamic America. Other people want a traditional values-based country. And we could not be more divided. Back with your calls. A lot of people want to talk about this, and as do I. Thank you. And we'll be back with more of the Anthony Cumia Show in moments.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back. Thank you for tuning in. Another fine Sunday evening. And, this Charlotte, North Carolina mayor, again, you get these liberals, these diversity, equity, and inclusion candidates that get elected, and Charlotte's got one. Mayor Vi Lyles, is that it? Vi Lyles. She's arguing this is her priority in addressing this brutal, savage murder that took place in her city. These are her priorities when addressing what had happened. She argues that Americans need to have more compassion for the homeless after homeless man DeCarlos Brown Jr. I can only assume DeCarlos Brown Sr. was nowhere to be found for the entire duration of this guy's life. Another huge problem in the community. He stabbed a beautiful woman, Irina Zarutska, on that train. We've all seen the footage. It's horrifying. It's everyone's worst nightmare. Everyone's worst nightmare. Lyles appears to come out against arresting homeless maniacs, arguing that we will never arrest our way out of things like this, of these issues. We will never arrest our way out of these issues. She said that. A woman who, who knows, she looked like she was on her way somewhere productive. Didn't look like she was on her way to commit any atrocities. She looked like she was just another girl on a train. There but for the grace of God go I. Any person sitting there. And the mayor of Charlotte, North Carolina, we will never arrest our way out of these issues. You really, I can't say what I want to say about that. You might not be able to arrest your way out of it. There's probably an argument there. I don't agree. I think you can absolutely arrest your way out of it. How about this, though? Convict your way out of it. Sentence your way out of it. It's not just about arresting these animals that do these things. There has to be a follow-up. You need district attorneys and attorneys general that are going to finish the job, judges that are going to take those arrests that you say won't solve these problems and follow it up with a conviction for the crime that was committed, not whittling it down to something else, and then a conviction and a sentence that fits the crime. This guy obviously should never, ever see the light of day anymore. He shouldn't see any light. The only light he should see is not even the after-death light. The light of fire and brimstone from hell is the only light this guy should be seeing. And it was most likely the only light he should have been seeing for years now. This bastard he had 14 arrests and not, a little weed on him. Oh, you arrested me because a little weed? These were violent crimes that this guy was arrested for. Violent crimes. And this mayor says that what she sees from this situation is that we should have more compassion for homeless and mentally ill people like DeCarlos Brown. And just to come out with a statement like that after we all saw this unbelievably horrific video is abominable. Just abominable. I want to be clear, I'm not villainizing those who struggle with their mental health or those who are unhoused. Oh, thanks. Thanks for not villainizing them. You lump of... It's very hard to hold back. Back with your calls and more on this in moments. More of the Anthony Cumia Show after these words.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. Welcome back. I was just watching a video on X. Legacy media now blaming fare skipping for Irina Zarutska getting brutally ended by DeCarlos Brown in North Carolina. I was watching this clip, and apparently it's exactly what I was saying earlier. The fare beating. This guy never bought a ticket, should not have been on this train. If these cities that are so, oh my God, they're so great and nice to the home, the unhoused, unhomed, what is it? The unhoused. He shouldn't have been on the train. And again, it's a snowball effect. If you paid attention to fare beaters on public transportation, many of these brutal, savage murderers wouldn't find their way onto these trains. But they look at arresting people for fare beating as some kind of, as being racist. They talk about that all the time. You look at stats. Statistics are the worst thing you can show a liberal. You look at the stats and go, well, who? Who are the people jumping the turnstiles, not buying tickets? And then you have to then justify why that's happening with your anti-race tirade. Well, some people, they need to get to work and they can't afford a ticket. You show me one person who's gone into a subway system or public transportation and caved someone's head in with a lead pipe or pushed them onto the third rail. Show me one of these people that were on their way to work when this happened. Let me, I'll just make up the stat because I don't have them in front of me, but I'll make it up and I will guarantee you that it is accurate. Zero people were on their way to work before they stabbed somebody in the neck or beat them senseless on a subway platform or punched the driver of a bus because how dare the driver asked him to pay the fare. 0.0. Mr. Blutarsky. That's what we're looking at. So if you put police there to arrest fare beaters, you would cut down drastically, I believe, on the number of people looking to do harm to other people. Yeah. But you know why they don't do it? And look, no, I don't apologize. I really haven't apologized for anything I've ever said with any passion. They look at the stats of the people that are being arrested for fare beating. And in many of these large blue cities, Democrat-run cities, the majority of the people doing the fare beating are from the black community. And when they have to send police out to arrest these people, you see the statistics and go, wow, arrests are up for young black men for fare beating. And then instead of saying something reasonable and logical like, well, why are young black men jumping turnstiles? They say, well, they must not be arresting all the white people that are jumping the turnstile. So this is racist. They're just arresting young black men because of systemic racism. And you go, what? Isn't there a chance it could be the other way? That there aren't a lot of other people jumping the turnstiles, that it does seem to be young black men, and then address that issue. Instead of making believe it's not happening, how about you address it and go, well, why? Why is that? I'm not going to deny that it's happening. How about a politician does that? I won't deny that it's happening. Yes, young black men seem to be the ones jumping the turnstiles. And then when they get on the platforms and in the subway trains, they're the ones that are committing the violence. Uh-oh, now, oh, boy. Oh, you opened up a big can of worms there. So they don't do it. And again, a lot of the politicians and judges in these cities are DEI appointments and DEI candidates that are backed by the likes of George Soros. And you end up with people in charge, I know, laughable, that don't want to do anything. They can't bring people that they consider their brethren. My God, how could I bring someone to justice if they're the same color as me? And you see a lot of that. The very gentleman that massacred this young girl on the train in North Carolina. The judge that had previously released him 14 times, he was arrested for violent crimes. And the judge that let him go with a signed promise, not a penny in bail money, with a signature saying, yes, I will come back. I'll come back. When's the court date? I'm there. And released him. And he murdered this beautiful woman. She was a black woman, the judge. And you can, please, you can call me. People have called me racist for many, many years now. And I believe the only reason for that is because I don't sugarcoat things. I am a great believer in statistics and profiling. I like a good profiling. People love profiling when it's on a Netflix crime show. A profiler was brought in, and they determined that the mass murderer, the serial killer, was a white man between 30 and 45 years old, probably had a limp, and was left-handed. They love a good profiling. Ooh, profile that guy. Boy, when it has anything to do with noticing statistics, and if those statistics point to the black community, you can't find, well, you could find one worse word than profiling. But profiling's right up there. They don't want you to profile. And the fact that that girl walked into that train and didn't look around and profile. There were other seats. There were other seats. Why would you sit in front of someone that statistically there is a greater chance of you being involved in some type of violence perpetrated by this person than picking another seat? And that isn't racism. It will be called racism. And like I said, I'm very used to that moniker. But the truth of the matter is, it's statistical. And it's that wonderful thing that people love to look at in movies, profiling. Maybe if she looked around that train and saw a guy that looked exactly like her murderer and decided to choose another seat, that guy may have been a professional, a contributing member of society. You might have even offended him if he noticed that you picked a different seat because you were uncomfortable sitting in front of him. And yeah, in a way, he would have been justified. He's lived his life as a good person, contributing to society. He's got a job. He just, wears his hair that way and wears a hoodie up in the middle of the summer in North Carolina. But who knows? But is that chance worth taking? Is this idea that you might offend someone that only has the best intentions worth gambling your life on? No way. Get another seat. And if that guy has a problem, take it up with people in your community that are doing nothing to solve this problem. Take it up with the media who are doing nothing to cover these issues that are epidemic in big cities. Take it up with politicians and Hollywood and Madison Avenue who make commercials with the treacherous, deadly, middle-aged white guy that could be nothing but a dangerous person to the group of young minorities on a train. I've seen it. the portrayal of the evil, violent white man getting onto public transportation and the young minority women clutching their purses and looking at him and stepping aside with his devious grin. I mean, come on. Because they're trying to portray things that way because the truth is terrible. The truth is a terrible thing. But they will try to disguise it or camouflage it, and they will, like they have in me over the course of the years, they will put the ist and phobe labels on you so fast to try to discredit anything you have to say, no matter how mathematically accurate what you're saying is. All right. We'll be back with more 800-848-9222 for your calls. More of the Anthony Cumia Show in moments.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Yep. Anthony Cumia Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I find myself going out these days, whether it's in South Carolina, New York City, even upstate New York. I was there over the course of the weekend, and so many people that listen to this show are coming up to me commenting that they like it, and I greatly appreciate that, man. Thank you so much, people. Let's go to Alice in Ohio. How you doing, Alice?
Very well, thank you. I really love your show. It's appointment listening. Yes, you are good. The politicians in blue cities are taking our country away, and this mayor in Charlotte is a disgrace. They're at various levels. We have them in Congress. We have them in the Senate. I live just outside of Cincinnati, Ohio. Over the weekend, of course, it was after 5 o'clock on Friday. Does that sound familiar? It was It was announced by one TV station. I happened to find out about it because I listen to the radio. I have no use for TV.
Yep, good.
And,
good for you.
Oh, yes. And they closed. They is probably the mayor, who has described himself as a metrosexual. I had heard it, but I actually looked it up, and I thought, oh, my God. So they closed what are called the regional offices. Now, these are offices where parolees check in periodically with their parole officers.
Right.
It's a progressive idea. They do not believe in jail. They do not believe in parole. They want to let these people out. They did not advise the judges. Ugh. And there are certain meetings set well in advance for the judges in the city so that they can arrange their dockets. Well, they weren't told. There were two judges who couldn't attend. One was on vacation. One hasn't been sworn in yet. Then, I'm sure you heard in July a horrible attack on a couple in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yes.
Well, okay. The woman, I saw the picture, and it was hard to look at. I thought she was dead.
Terrible.
The man, his medical records indicated he had been hit in the head 27 times. Mm-hmm. And one of the 7 assailants who was arrested took the time to steal his gold chain in between beating. Well, the local head of the Cincinnati NAACP had a wonderful play on words. We want justice, not just us. So they took the camera, the footage from the cameras around, and they found that this man punched one of his assailants. Well, it was determined that he was defending himself. The mayor and the local progressives demanded that this man be arrested.
They arrested him.
He's not only a victim; he's a defendant. He has an attorney, and the attorney appeared for him last week. Of course, they're going to sue. But this is what's going on. They demanded a white person be arrested.
Yeah, there has to be a sacrificial lamb,
Yes.
Alice, because the idea that a group of black men and black women, young black men and young black women, would set upon a white couple is inconceivable. That could never happen. There must have been a reason. There must have been something that the white people did. I can't even call them victims because they started the whole thing. They escalated it. This is how the media are most culpable in it. Obviously, the NAACP and the likes of your community leaders, they're obviously going to come out and try to do anything they can, lie, cheat, and steal to present their people as the victims in this. But when law enforcement and the government, when they side with the people that were doing the damage and try to make the victims seem like the perpetrators, what do? I mean, these poor people were set upon, beaten. It's attempted murder. I cannot tell you how many of these clips I've watched where they jump and stomp on people's heads.
Yes.
And people have died. They've gotten brain bleed. You bust open your eye sockets, and you'll hear laughing from the people that are recording this on their phones.
Yes.
I cannot comprehend that type of savagery, Alice.
The woman who was attacked has permanent brain damage.
Yeah.
And he is this mayor, Aftab Puraval, is up for re-election.
Oh,
and
boy.
And it took him a week to contact the victim. And the person Bowman, who's running opposing Puraval, he is the half brother of J.D. Vance, and they're downplaying it because it's a blue city.
Right.
And this Bowman is absolutely wonderful. When I saw what was happening in Cincinnati and Hamilton County in general, I moved to the next county, a red
There you
county.
go. I mean, it's all we can do right now, Alice. I picked my ass up and moved to right around Greenville, South Carolina. I could not take New York anymore. Alice, thanks so much for your call and your input. Wonderful, isn't it? Let me look at what I'm doing here. I got my little sheet. Oh, there we go. Okay, got a little time. Probably take another call. Ben is in Washington, D.C. How you doing, Ben?
Good. How are you, Anthony?
Good, man.
Thank you for taking the call. So, yeah, I'm in D.C., and I go to Union Station every day through there for work, and Trump crackdown, it's great. There's no crime there. It's not a homeless shelter anymore. And it's frustrating to see this Charlotte thing because we don't have to live like this. It's so easy to fix.
No, what a great point. We don't have to live like this. We are being forced to live like this. No one wants to really do anything about it for all types of motives. They have their agendas. And anytime someone does try to seriously take the bull by the horns, if I may say, they get crucified for being terrible people, unconstitutional, racist, homophobic, whatever it is. And this continues. We don't have to live like this. Then why are we, Ben? Why are we living like this? Why we, the people, can't do anything about it?
Well, there's definitely a racial component. I think you and I agree on that.
Yeah, of course. Of course. There's a huge double standard is what it is. And again, the soft bigotry of low expectations that we heard about a few years back from George W. It's worse now than it ever was. I recall a time where there would have to be some type of uprising, a riot, or whatever it may be, in order to loot stores. And then there'd be the excuse, look, they're angry, they're They feel oppressed. They feel disenfranchised. Let them loot to blow off some steam. Well, what did that permission, giving them that permission do? Looting now happens 24 hours a day, regardless of what's going on in society. People will just walk into stores and steal whatever they want and walk out with it. It's looting. It's not shoplifting. So, we're in a position now where we've made it worse. And by we, I mean, overall society's acceptance of this nonsense. Ben, I got to go, but thank you for the call. And, plenty of calls coming in. What else do I got to talk about today? I got this Rosie O'Donnell. We'll take a break from the serious stuff and go to stupid Rosie in moments.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. Obviously, the big story out of Charlotte, North Carolina, is on a lot of people's minds. And there's phone calls and people want to talk about it. And we will come back to that. I'll take your calls. But, a little palate cleanser. Like a big, fat, moronic sorbet over the roof of your mouth and tongue. We go to Rosie O'Donnell. Anytime Rosie posts anything, I don't know. Maybe I'm a glutton for punishment, but I have to watch it numerous times. She's unpleasant, nasty, brainwashed. She is one of these people that just cannot see what's really going on. She left America for Ireland. I can understand I can understand wanting to get out of the country if you don't like what's going on crime-wise. But Trump being president chased you out of the country. Why? He's trying to do something, but and I also think, all right, he did call her a slob on national television, probably the most watched debate in the history of presidential debates. And he called her a slob. That might stick with you, especially someone as emotionally unstable as Rosie O'Donnell. So she was on another one of these shows. I guess they have their little chat shows over there in Ireland. And she just bad-mouthing Donald Trump. And this one, boy, I don't know. Trump isn't afraid to take on a good slander or libel case. And he might have something here. The idea of Trump suing Rosie O'Donnell makes me chuckle. I would like to see that. So listen here, and you see if you think this enters the realm of slander against Donald Trump. Here's Rosie.
Standing in the way of us all figuring out why his name appears multiple times in the Epstein files. We still don't know why his name appears multiple times in the Epstein files.
We do know why,
Jim.
Donald Trump. We all know why.
Yeah.
You have to know why. Why else do you think he paid $1 billion to Jeffrey Epstein over the time of their friendship? $1 billion. He wrote in his birthday book, "Here's to all the secrets."
Wonderful secrets.
Come on. If this was an Angela Lansbury murder she wrote, people would be, it's too obvious.
We figured it out.
It's too obvious that he is guilty as sin. And America, before he brings more troops into Chicago and harasses brown-skinned people, before he breaks more of the Constitution apart, before he starts having people get killed, we have to do something, America.
Yeah.
And it's
I
time
agree.
for every person with a platform to speak out about it. Every single person, now or never. Break glass in time of emergency. It's time to break the glass.
And you saw, Rosie, what he did the other day when those brave women were up on Capitol Hill, the survivors, their families, they were all speaking out. And at the same time, Donald Trump is saying it's a Democratic hoax.
How dare he, Jim?
Yeah.
How dare he? For every child that was ever raped by a grown man, how dare he? How dare he? We are mighty. 1 in 3 girls suffers child sex abuse. 1 in 5 boys. Those are the statistics, America. Wake up.
Yeah.
Wake up. Our president is a serial pedophile rapist, and that's what he is. And in America, you're allowed to have an opinion. You're allowed to say what you think.
You're not allowed to slander.
That's what our country was founded on.
Yeah.
Come on.
You're not allowed to slander somebody like that. Wow. She said he is a pedophile rapist. What? You better have a boatload of evidence, Rosie. The fact that Trump hasn't mentioned this, maybe he's just trying to be like, I'm not even going to acknowledge her. But knowing Trump and seeing what he's done over the course of the years, I can't imagine he didn't immediately get on the horn with his lawyer and go, take this fat lump of garbage down. How could he not? That is damaging. And I think we'd all like to see that. See her more stressed out, get more, as she calls them, cold sores on her lips. Have you seen? The lips look like from an iguana. She's got iguana lips. There's all kinds of things going on there. Because God only knows what debaucherous stuff she's been into over the course of the years. And you want to talk about your statistics with child sexual abuse and assaults? Look at your buddies in Hollywood, Rosie. Check out all your pals in Hollywood. You worked on Harriet the Spy for Nickelodeon. Remember that movie, Rosie? Nickelodeon. I'm surprised it's still a thing with all of the allegations, and not just allegations, actual instances of child sexual abuse that went on at that network. All the young girl shows and the stories of these producers and directors. Hollywood is the ground zero for sexual assault of children, child stars. What's the stat, Rosie? What's the stat on getting out of Hollywood as a child star with any semblance of a normal life? They're on drugs. They're into all kinds of debaucherous sexual practices. Charlie Sheen just came out and said on crack he had sex with men when he was strung out on crack. And, you know, he grew up as a child. Martin Sheen's his father, Emilio Estevez, his brother, they grew up in that Hollywood environment. And you look at a guy who now has HIV, was doing, you can only imagine in your wildest, disgusting hallucinations what Charlie Sheen was doing. There are allegations that Charlie Sheen had abused his young co-star, Corey Haim. And the story is so shocking and so disgusting. And that's the kind of stuff that comes out of Hollywood, Rosie. You can move to Ireland. You can move to the moon. You might change the gravitational pull. Although she's not as fat anymore, I got to say. I'm sure it was, I take my Ozempic. I take Ozempic so I'm not big and fat because I have no self-control, no discipline. I have to shove everything in my mouth, including things that give me cold sores, I'll call them. Yeah. That's what she does. That's the environment she was around. She was there in Hollywood working for Nickelodeon. And what? Nothing, Rosie? Donald Trump. Donald Trump gave Epstein $1 billion. Can I please see that? Can I please see the rundown of where Trump's $1 billion went to Jeffrey Epstein in some way, shape, or form? Can I see that? Can I see his writings to Jeffrey Epstein about their secrets? I don't know. Maybe I missed it. Maybe I missed that X post. And maybe I didn't look into it and see what really happened or what it really means. Anyone that, you could assume, because I haven't seen enough evidence one way or another that Trump was involved in any way with the likes of Jeffrey Epstein. There are other people that it is obvious. Bill Clinton, for one. But you never hear Bill's name come up when it comes to Epstein and what shenanigans were going on there. All I've heard is Trump was on Epstein's plane as it flew back from Florida to New York, nowhere near the supposed pedophile island of Jeffrey Epstein. And once they got a line on what a ghoul Jeffrey Epstein was, he never had contact with him again. And there have been numerous sources that have backed that up. I can't imagine there's a Democrat on the planet that wouldn't love to have real information, real evidence on that, and would have put it out. Why would the Biden administration, who had all that is available at the highest levels of power, all that is available of the Epstein debacle, why wouldn't they have put out everything that tied Trump to Epstein? Why? They were doing everything. They were trying to arrest him. They did arrest him. They convicted him of 34 felonies. They couldn't get him in jail. Why wouldn't you drop that atomic bomb if it was available? I have to assume because it's not available. That's the only assumption I can make. Oh, the Democrats and Republicans and Trump, they're all in cahoots, which I do believe to an extent politically. But if you're trying everything to destroy your enemy, which obviously they were with Donald Trump, stealing an election in 2020, I will never believe that election wasn't in some way, shape, or form stolen. Even if you just look at the collusion between mainstream media destroying Trump and mainstream media pumping up Biden when they knew he had Alzheimer's, that's at the least. At the most is fiddling around with the ballots. If you're trying to do this to your opponent, why wouldn't you drop the biggest bomb you possibly could? $1 billion to Epstein, a pedophile, rapist, like Rosie said. But then we see nothing. And Rosie can blather on like that? I have to expect that we will read about a lawsuit being filed against Rosie O'Donnell from Donald Trump for slander. That is unbelievable that she said something so definitive about him like that. That's crazy. See, she lost weight. If she could just shove cookies and other women in your face so you don't say damaging things to yourself, Rosie. William, Jersey, what's up, my friend?
Hi, Anthony. I really cannot. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. How you doing?
All right. Hey, Anthony, I'm in New Jersey. I used to live in New York. I was born and raised in Manhattan, New York, and I moved out of there like 25 years ago. And at that time, it was bad, but it wasn't this bad. But be that as it may, I cannot understand how those morons, whatever neighborhood they're in, can even listen to this Mondani character, let alone vote for him. Now, I understand. What I'm about to say hasn't been confirmed, but I understand that Patterson, New Jersey, has elected a city council totally Muslim.
Yeah.
And they're on the way to implement Sharia law. Have you heard about that?
This is what we're seeing. This is happening. I mean, I just saw today a video clip. I believe it was from Houston, Texas. And a group of Muslims, a cleric, they're dressed in these pajamas. They're walking around to local businesses, walking in and telling these businesses, you need to stop selling alcohol and pork products because we aren't going to stand for it. And even said something to the effect, it was a mafia threat. Look, I know it's legal. You can legally sell these, but we are not going to stand for it as Muslims. Things that are illegal or frowned upon, or however he put it, in the Muslim religion, we will not stand for it. So they're going around to businesses. I mean, this is what we saw the mafia do in big cities years ago. They'd go into a business and say, hey, we're security for the neighborhood. You got to pay us every week. It'd be a shame if that window of yours got broke. And it was called organized crime. And they made things like RICO statutes. And they tried time and time again to get these mobsters in prison. They have finally, it seems, really put the kibosh on a lot of what organized crime was doing for many, many years. Do you think for a second we'd ever see any Department of Justice, local, federal, that would go to this cleric and his minion and say, you are not allowed to do this. This is illegal. We will RICO your ass and you will be in jail because it is mafia tactics. But no, they're not going to do a damn thing. And these people will threaten local businesses and eventually they'll win. Their threats will be effective and the stores will go, all right, we won't sell. And like you said, William, that is just another step towards Sharia law, which everyone laughs. Oh, that'll never happen. It is happening. We're seeing it. William, comment. He went away.
Actually, I don't know what to say. Really, I'm shocked. I mean, look what's happening in London. I mean, they're in the process of even changing the name from London to London Stan.
London Stan, yes, I've heard that one. Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't know if that's going to happen. But look what's happening over in that country. Yeah. And I really, look, Anthony, we just got to pray. Let's pray and see what happens.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll give it a good pray, William. Thank you, my friend. He goes, William. Yeah, it's, I got a story. I'll get to it at some point. This English kid. England is just, I'd like to use the word cluster, and it's followed by a word that starts with F. But it is. America and the UK have had this unbelievable relationship over the course of the years. And I think there was this mutual respect, and it came out of this conflict that we've had for, a few hundred years now. But I think America becoming its own country, independent of England, it wasn't so much this horrible adversary that we would have liked to have seen wiped off the face of the earth, as much as a bullying older brother, and you kind of got older and bigger and stronger, and now you could kick your older brother's ass, but there's a respect there. You don't do it because you respect it. Now imagine that tough older brother that you looked at one point as, a mentor and a threat, and you respected, and they're just being bent over. And it's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for the United Kingdom now. it's only getting worse. We at least have some kind of light at the end of the tunnel here. We have certain rights. And believe me, I know they're stomping all over our rights here in this country. But we have some rights here that prevent that from happening. The will and voice of the people still does carry some weight here. I'm not that black-pilled and sarcastic where I don't think the people do still pose some kind of a threat to the power base here in this country. They don't have that over there. And the UK is a great example of what happens when the government has the absolute power and the people are at, the will of the government. And we're seeing unbelievable things. And sometimes, we do have to step back and go, no matter how bad it is, at least it isn't that. Back in moments with more of the show. Stick around.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. And, I think I missed this segment last week, but there's a good example of it this week. Of course, we love when Donald Trump brings it up, gets in front of someone, he calls them fake news.
Now.
Fake news, folks. Fake news.
It's the fake news.
Fake stories.
News moment.
Now, this is kind of fake internet and then fake news on the follow-up. The first thing are the Trump death rumors that were bubbling up last week. They asked Trump about it. I think Trump says sometimes, he goes, yeah, I didn't hear about that. What was that? What? But then he'll say something in the next sentence that you absolutely know he heard about it. Here's something with Trump. I don't think there's one thing on social media that Donald Trump doesn't know. He knows every meme. He knows every rumor. He's posting memes and GIFs and funny things about his enemies, whatever it may be. But here's Trump addressing those death rumors. They said he was dead. They said he was at least very infirmed. He was at the hospital, whatever it was. But he was asked about it, and here's what Trump said about his death rumors.
Viral social media trend over the weekend. How did you find out over the weekend that you were dead? You see that?
No.
People didn't see it for a couple days. 1.3 million user engagements as of Saturday morning about your demise.
Really? I didn't see that. You know, I have heard, it's sort of crazy, but last week I did numerous news conferences, all successful. They went very well, like this is going very well. And then I didn't do any for 2 days, and they said there must be something wrong with him. Biden wouldn't do him for months. You wouldn't see him. And nobody ever said there was ever anything wrong with him, and we know he wasn't in the greatest of shape. No, I heard that. I get reports. Now, you knew I did an interview that lasted for about an hour and a half with somebody, and everybody saw that was on one of your competitors. I did numerous shows and also did a number of truths, long truths, I think pretty poignant truths. No, I was very active over the weekend. They also knew I went out to visit some people at the club that I own pretty nearby on the Potomac River. And no, I've been very active actually over the weekend. I didn't hear that one. That's pretty serious stuff. Well, it's fake news. You know, it's just it's so fake. That's why the media has so little credibility. I knew they were saying, like, is he okay? How's he feeling? What's wrong? I said, I just left. And it's also sort of a longer weekend, you know, it's Labor Day weekend. So I would say a lot of people know I was very active this Labor Day. I had heard that, but I didn't hear it to that extent. Go ahead, Peter.
Something else. We know that this country has a huge problem with school shootings. You've said that you're open to sending the National Guard pretty much anywhere. Would you ever consider sending an armed National Guardsman to every school?
Pause.
Well, we have a big problem with school shooting, but we also have thousands and thousands of schools that run perfectly. You know, they talk about you can do things construction-wise, and that's
hello
that's
up there in
really,
New York. Hello.
I think nobody knows more about construction than me. You can build the construction.
We can cut it there. Thank you. That was the great, of course, Peter Doocy from Fox News talking to Donald Trump. One of the only people that would actually ask any meaningful questions during the Biden administration. And the fact that they had to come up with such an insane scenario that Trump had some kind of a medical problem. He's 80 years old. If he has to get some kind of an IV in the top of his hand, it's going to leave a bruise. Certain medical conditions that are pretty commonplace for a guy 79, 80 years old. It doesn't mean, imminent death is around the corner. But the fact that these media jackasses will come up with some kind of a scenario where Trump is the one with medical condition, he's not fit to be president, some type of dementia, when they had Joe Biden for 4 years, and only at the very end of it would they say something like, hey, we didn't know. Hey, well, how were we to know? We aren't doctors. Well, the blithering idiot was walking like he had a stick, there. And he was unable to coherently answer any question presented to him. And that's what you're going to use to try to discredit Trump. They're throwing everything against the wall, trying so hard to bring him down and discredit him. But don't use something that we have a perfect example of in the last president, that all you did was defend this guy and say he was fine. So, enough. We'll be back in a matter of, oh my gosh, it must be seconds. Anthony Cumia Show.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. We adore having you listen. Thank you. During the breaks, I go through social media, and one thing I just saw, Chicago, there is a Latin Kings gang member flashing gang signs and calling on gangs to take action as the National Guard deploys in the city. And this guy, I could not run away from him fast enough. And it says, I never thought I'd say this, but Chicago gangs, it's time to really bang. Todos los Latinos protegen. I don't even know what that word is. There's too many wacky things over the letters. But, it's a call to action. There is a call to action from the gang members to fight what Trump wants to do in Chicago to try to address the insane amount of violent crime that goes on in that city. Here's a good rule of thumb to follow. If the criminal gangs are against what you're doing, it's probably good for the rest of the citizens, the law-abiding, working citizens of Chicago. And if your government there, the mayor, the governor of Illinois, the mayor of Chicago, if they agree with the gang and not with the federal government, the agency, the president that wants to help curtail that crime in your city, then they should all be thrown out immediately. I don't even know what it would take to get rid of a mayor. Can you do that? Is there an impeachment process for a mayor? I don't know. I was a mere former shock jock, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not up and hip to all the political wranglings of trying to throw these garbage mayors and whatnot out of office. But I would have to assume, if you look at what the mayor is saying of a crime-riddled blue city, and it's exactly what the gang members who commit these murders, it's exactly what they're saying, I would have to think there's an issue and it needs to be addressed. And that person, the mayor, whoever it may be, they have to be thrown out. Thrown out. They have the same opinion as the Latin kings. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. All right. One thing to tag on the end of, we were talking about the death rumors that Donald Trump had going on social media last week. But the actual part of the fake news I wanted to get to, that segment, was Jen Psaki. Jen Psaki, you might remember her, press secretary for Joe Biden for some time, right at the beginning, right? Wasn't that who she was? And this is her clip, which was the fake news. After the death rumors started coming around, instead of looking at them like they would look at any other internet-related hoax or rumor, they just went right along with it. They ran with the hook, and of course had to give some credibility to what were obvious rumors. There were pictures of him at the golf course. And like Trump said, I wasn't in front of a news camera for a couple of days during Labor Day weekend. And they had all these conclusions that he must be ill or demented or something. And like he said, Joe Biden would go weeks without anything. And then the first time you'd see him after that, he's falling off a bicycle as he's pedaling toward a young girl to smell her hair. But nothing from the news. So let's listen to Jen Psaki address these death rumors in a responsible, reasonable, journalistic way.
Really can't make this stuff up sometimes. And look, we may never know why Donald Trump suddenly spent a week hiding entirely from the American public.
Hiding.
But you don't actually need baseless online conspiracies to explain why he might not want to show his face in public right now.
Why? We may never know. Oh. How about the Joe Biden dementia? How about right after Trump is inaugurated, we find out about Biden's stage 4 prostate cancer? Like they didn't know. He had all kinds of medical examinations over the course of his presidency. And they always put out the statements, and the news hits it. Well, Joe Biden had his examination today at Walter Reed Hospital. And what? Nothing? He instantly went from his last medical physical to stage 4 prostate cancer in no time. I mean, come on. But Trump takes vacation, a couple of days off for Labor Day weekend with family and friends and business associates. And they're like, well, we may never know. No, we knew. He was playing golf and doing normal things that men do. So, again, fake news. Jen Psaki. Jen Psaki. All right. The other thing is that I wanted to get to, this Boston City Councilwoman. This is insane. I mean, we are seeing a lot of people that are being appointed or elected to positions of power in this country, whether it's a governor, the city council people, and anywhere in between, Congress, Senate. And they don't like or respect, and they will never assimilate to the traditions that we as Americans have always held dear. I always talk about the commonality of the American people. You live within a boundary of the United States. You live in different states. You're different people with different opinions and ideologies, and religions. But there was always this underlying commonality that made us Americans. It transcended just a line on a map. You're in America, so you must be an American. No, it's never been that. And when settlers first came over and settled America, and then immigrants came over after there was some semblance of a society, an American society, we ran with those ideals, and we had this common thought of what was right and wrong. We made laws that we agreed upon based on our morality and how we felt as human beings to other humans, how we would want to be treated by others. This was a huge part of being American. Now, please, not only are there people that have been brought here purposefully from other nations that have no idea what being an American is about, Minnesota, Minneapolis with Somalis, but you have people that are absolutely opposed to what we look at as American and what we believe we are as Americans. And again, like I said, it transcends any lines on maps. You could go from, in the old days, from New York to Colorado, Arizona, California, any other state, and there was this common factor. Regardless of any other ideologies you had this bond as Americans. That's gone. With citizens, it's gone. And then when you get people in power, in political positions where they can make policy and dictate what happens on local up to federal levels, that's where this country is really doomed. That's where you can easily start getting very cynical and black-pilled, as I said earlier. So now another part of this is you get people that are put in positions of power, and they look at money and power and things they could get, and they don't even think about the ethics that are behind their position. They will just take. It's corruption because they don't believe in anything, especially this country. And look, I'm not stupid. I know there's been plenty of all-American politicians that have been corrupt as all hell. I get it. But there is just a amount, the sheer amount per capita of foreigners who come here and get elected or appointed to an office that are just stealing, just got their hand in the till. And one of the latest ones is this Boston City Councilwoman. She was convicted of corruption. I guess they'd go into the bathroom of one of these government buildings and people would hand her money to give them what they needed from someone in her position. And that's just the story. Like, who cares? Well, the thing that made me laugh is she had a little meeting with the press, and she doesn't want people talking about her. Hey, media, get off me. Don't talk about me. I bet she was all about the media lambasting Donald Trump and Republicans when there were these lies made up about crimes that he has committed. But when it comes to her, she's like, hey, lay off. Listen to this imbecile. Oh, Boston City Councilwoman? Oh, okay. Whew, scared me.
I'm not that important. And I hope that after this, you guys will stop talking about me. Cause
she's a Muslim.
I'm actually an introvert, and it hurts when you put me on the news. And for Boston Herald and all of the folks who've try to create stories, try to verify your facts. The reason why I don't talk to you is because you never report accurately on black people. You're always causing some sort of trouble. And you know what? The responsibility really is not on Boston Herald or ABC or Fox 25. The responsibility should be on the black community. We need to create black media so that we can actually be able to create a fair story and report accurately on black people. You don't care that I'm a black woman, that I'm an immigrant, that I'm getting death threats, and I'm not a victim. I'm not saying any of that, and I took responsibility. I'm asking you to humanize black people, especially black women, especially black immigrants. And there's no excuses here. It's just simply report accurately, be responsible. And to my black community, this is where we are in the state of things in Boston, a city where we have so much money. I wasn't what the prosecutor said. I wasn't trying to gain momentum or popularity. I actually don't like talking to you guys. I actually don't like being in the media. It's just too much. And so can you please, I'm asking you for the love of God, stop talking about me. Just let the story go.
Can you even? And the flop is out on the table. Race card, race card, race card. Oh, I have quads. I flopped quads of race cards. I mean, have you ever seen such a perfect example of the race card being used? All right, we'll talk more about this and many other things when the Anthony Cumia Show continues.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show, yes. Yeah, let's leave her alone up there in Boston. She doesn't like the media, the press. She doesn't like, she's getting death threats. Can you imagine that? Aw, that's such a shame. She's wearing the hijab. She's up there just not an inkling that she wants anything to do with what made this country America. You know, they look at lines on a map and they go, we'll make our own lines. We'll carve out this for us. We'll put a little line on the map, and this is now our nation, and it will have nothing to do with your nation. When people talk about America was always about immigrants and people coming here and their culture and traditions would add to America. Yeah, we see that. We see some of the amazing things that were done over the course of American history from immigrants, and before immigrants, settlers. I always want to bring up the fact that, you know, America, especially as a very young nation, the original 13 colonies, people would come from other nations that they felt oppressed, or they weren't able to practice religion, or whatever their problem was with where they were from. They would come to this fledgling nation, and then they would go west. And those weren't immigrants per se. Those were settlers. No one knew what was going to happen. They didn't know what was out there, and a lot of it was bad. And they were the ones that built this country. And a lot of the traditions that came from that, a lot of the mindset of Americans, we're looked at around the world as the rebellious. You know, we're constantly compared to other nations in ways that they're incomparable. That's what makes us so unique. We're a little wild. We built a country, you know, the Wild West. A lot of guns were involved in the building of this nation. And, you know, a lot of nations and a lot of people around the world don't understand that. You understand it if you're an American. Absolutely. So whenever they want to compare, you know, well, Denmark, America has this, but Denmark is, well, we're not Denmark. We're no other country. That's why everyone wants to come here. We're very unique. And they also want to come here because we've spread this rumor around the world that will take anyone. And you could just come here and be whatever you want to be. No. There are certain things, certain institutions you have to adhere to. You have to understand. And in 2025, seems like a lot of people, especially, a few years ago, before Trump really put the an end to all this illegal invasion. I won't even say immigration. But a lot of people didn't care about America or what was going on in this country, our history, what makes us Americans. They didn't care. Did not care. Mark, New York. What's up, my friend?
Yes, in regard to your very apt analogy between Italian organized crime, the mafia, and the bullying of Muslims, there are a few significant differences. First of all, the Italians had the wonderful Rudy Giuliani, who fought that stereotype and the crime.
Yes.
And he was a marvelous example of many, many other Italians of small minority group.
He was. Can I just say something, Mark, for people? I mean, most people know this, but Rudy Giuliani, obviously an Italian American, was key to dismantling organized crime, which had its tentacles into every single thing, especially in cities like New York. You could not get 1 yard of concrete delivered in New York without having to deal with the mafia. And a lot of Italians kind of got mad at him for doing that, but he pursued it. It was effective. But now, where's the Giuliani to go against the Muslims and what they're doing?
That was my next comment.
Thank you.
You stole my thunder there, Anthony. The whole point is there isn't the second difference is that the population of Italian Americans is really minuscule compared to the millions of hordes of Muslims that came legally or illegally. And there not a single spokesman standing up against radical Islam, either through fear, cowardice, or secret conviction that they're in line with the radicals.
Mark,
there isn't anyone.
Again, let me just break in here for a second. You are absolutely right, and that how many times do we have to hear that if a white person doesn't actively denounce racism and actively get on board? And by the way, the racism they're talking about is not really racism; it's truly equality. Like, people don't want to be equal; they want to be better. So when people are called racist, it's just because you're saying, well, let's really be equal. But as far as Islam goes, where are the moderate Islamic people in this country that are calling out the extremists? You do not see them. You do not hear from them. They do not exist. You will never see that, because I personally think there are some moderate Muslims, but they're scared out of their minds to say anything because you know what'll happen.
That's exactly correct, and they're nowhere to be seen because of that through any one of those either positive or negative reasons. But here's another fact. Italian Americans, even the mob, relished assimilating into American culture, society, and the Muslims come over like invaders and insist that we adapt to them and accept their Sharia law. It's unmitigated gall, and it's about time that Americans started to speak up against such double standards in history.
Oh, could you imagine, Mark, if that actually happened? Could you imagine watching, looking at society and going, wow, look at this. They're really doing it. Are you as cynical and black-pilled as, you listen to the show, Mark, as I seem to come off here?
I'm more so than you are, and I would bring to mind the image. Let me explain the image that comes to mind. On September 11th, Rudy Giuliani and many Italian-American firemen, policemen rushed into the towers to...
Got to make it fast. I got to go to break, but go ahead.
But while that was happening, the Muslims across the river were on the rooftops applauding the destruction of the towers.
Could you imagine? Mark, thank you so much, man. Appreciate the call. And we'll be back in moments with more of the Anthony Cumia Show.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Anthony Cumia Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. We do greatly appreciate it. I was talking a little earlier about the UK, and it's gone from anger, resentment, pity, and now embarrassment when we as Americans look at our former, big brother. I don't really see them as the parent. I think it's more the big brother, and now we have to look and go, the guy that used to smack me around and beat me at football and whatever it is. Now he's pathetic. He's just a pathetic guy. And unfortunately, all we really have different than the UK here is time. We're a much bigger country. But if we don't pay attention and look at what's happening in the UK and fight against that and prevent it, we're going to be just as screwed as they are. And right now, it is bad. The police, what they're doing over there to the British citizens, not the illegals or the legal immigrants they're bringing in, is outrageous. The big crime of last week in the UK was putting up British flags. England's flags, which someone pointed out in the comments section of some of these posts. The police have an English flag, the flag of Britain, on their uniform. Yet it's illegal for some reason. It's deemed a hate crime over there to raise that flag up and fly it because it is considered some type of hatred toward immigrants. Once your country gets to that level, it's done. Years ago, I almost understood the burning of the flag thing. I never would have done it, and I didn't condone it. But I could understand it as a tool of protest. You're pissed at the government. You want to voice your opinion. Obviously, your First Amendment right allows you that. So you burn the flag. In essence, you're burning the things you disagree with in America. Now, the American flag is looked at as this terrible symbol, not to be used as something to protest and burn it and say, what I'm burning here is my opinion of what the government is doing. I don't like what they're doing. Now it's a hatred of America. They don't like this country, and they burn the flag. And a lot of people blow it off like, all right, what's a flag? Who cares? It's just cloth, man. The symbolism is everything. It's everything. It symbolizes something. And it symbolizes all those things I spoke of earlier that we hold dear to being American. And when you see what's going on over in the UK, you can't even raise the nation's flag up a flagpole because they have deemed that offensive to the invaders, the people that are coming to your country and want to change every aspect of it, make it unbelievably oppressive. And they're getting help. They're getting everything they need from the government that's in place, from the police force that answers to that government, and people that just want to express their pride in being British are being arrested. A 5-year-old, I think it was he? Oh no, 11. is an English kid. Had 5 cops on him. 5 cops came over, and he wasn't arrested, but he was taken away. He was removed from the area because he was trying to raise a British flag. And there were Muslims there and Indians and other people that have no want or need or ambition to assimilate to Western culture. How the hell did that happen? I see videos on YouTube of Britain from the 60s, 70s. And there was such an amazing vibe about that country. You know, for how America is known as this Wild West, gunslingers, you know, we'll go down to Texas and put some longhorn steer horns on the front of our Cadillac and drink whiskey and shoot our guns. England had this kind of respectability, and their monarchy meant something, and there was the English way of doing things. And even though we kind of laughed at it a lot of times because we're, you know, the rambunctious younger brother, we respected it, and it was cool. And a lot of people wanted to go there to experience that. And, you know, years ago, I remember wanting to sit in an English pub and talk to people. And, you know, we had a common language. And now I couldn't imagine from what I'm seeing over there. And look, I'm sure I could go to 1 or 2 pubs and there'll be traditional English pubs with English people. But the idea that you have to find that, and it's not just anywhere, and that I can't walk in Piccadilly Circus and, you know, it's going to look like Times Square in New York. It's just going to be foreigners and people that don't like America in Times Square. They don't like Britain in Piccadilly. It's sad. And there's such a tiny nation that infection spreads and goes deep very quickly. And especially when you don't see anyone of any merit, of any power, wanting to change it and having the ability to do it. Right now, as we speak, it's getting worse. There are more illegal invaders, legal invaders that they're letting in that are just going to dismantle the United Kingdom. And that's sad. It's sad to me. Yeah. All right, let's talk to the lovely, no, we'll go to Larry. Larry,
Hey,
Staten Island, Larry. How you doing, man?
Great line. Great line, man.
Oh, yeah. Raging Bull.
The Bull, man. Anthony, on a serious note, Thursday's coming, the 24th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks. I urge all our listeners and brothers, get a flag. I don't care if it's 6 inches big, 9 inches big, 1.5 feet big. Fly your flag.
Yep.
Fly your flag in honor of those who lost their lives and who fought to get people out of those buildings.
Yeah.
God bless them.
You know, Larry, I was just talking about the embarrassment of looking over at the UK and how I'm embarrassed for them and what they've let transpire in their once great nation, you know. And I look at 9/11, you know, I was in New York City at that time. I spent the next years, actually, driving past the pile in Lower Manhattan, and it affected me so deeply. And we never, ever imagined we would be in the position we are now with Muslims literally taking over certain cities in this country. Never forget. We heard that. You know, always remember what happened on 9/11. Well, and we forgot. We forgot, Larry. Larry, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here,
All right.
brother.
Yeah, your turn. Your turn to talk. That's how it works.
Well, my point is this. I'm bringing it up to what I'm hearing tonight about these Muslims walking into stores, telling the proprietors, don't sell no beer, don't sell no pork, etc. So now I'm saying to myself, maybe 4 weeks ago, why is this guy Mondami in such a hurry to want to control the grocery stores? And I said, after hearing tonight, I said, aha! He takes control of these stores. The city could say, well, you're banned from selling beer, you sell pork, and even cigarettes. So yeah, your First Amendment gets kicked in the balls again.
Yeah. Good point. You know, I don't put anything past someone like Mamdani. He is a communist. He has no respect for the American way of life. And, you know, I hate to call it, because everyone wants to believe that the opposite of Mamdani and communism and socialism is capitalism. And capitalism has been painted as this just greed. Greed is good, you know, from Wall Street. And truth be told, it's more a difference between communism and socialism and the American way of life. Free market. Going into a grocery store, you look around, you don't like it. They don't have the goods you want. It's dirty. It's they're rude. You go somewhere else because there's going to be another grocery store that wants to please their customers and do well. That's the free market. Under a Mamdani state-run grocery store market in New York City,
that's right,
you are going to get one thing, and it's going to be like every other state-run thing, poorly. It's going to be run poorly, and there's going to be obnoxious DMV kind of people running the businesses. And why would they bother stocking the shelves? If you don't like that they don't have something or they don't have enough of something, you won't be able to go somewhere else because it'll be the same there. So you're just stuck with a crappy system of state-run businesses. We really need to get that through New Yorkers' heads. But again, I have zero faith. Your turn, Larry.
Think about that. Think about it.
Oh, there he goes. All right. Yeah, when I'm on a phone call with you, I talk, then you talk. Just like when you used to get on the phone with Grammy or Nana. I love you, Nana. I love you too. There you go. Now you're talking back and forth. Oh, there's a frightening story here. This is, and again, this has to do with Islam in a way and tourism. Dubai. How many times do you see these advertisements online? They come up to vacation in Dubai. You see the unbelievable amenities, beachfront, these hotels. Everyone on the road is driving some exotic car. You take an A380 double-decker plane, and you got a suite on a plane that's bigger than most people's apartments. It is so enticing. You're going to a Muslim nation. There are laws and rules in place that do not jibe with the Western culture. And, you know, people are compelled to go there. And the really sad thing, a lot of women, a lot of attractive women, a lot of dumb, attractive women are enticed to go there because these people have money that you cannot imagine. And they're willing to pay these girls to go over there. It's international prostitution. You can't really call it trafficking because the girls couldn't be happier to do this. They're willingly going over there and becoming what amounts to a sex toy to some of these people of power politically and financially in Dubai. And they're so dumb and so naive as to what the world is like outside of the United States, which most of them have this delusion that it's we live in this oppressive nation. Then they go over there, and boy, if one hair is out of place, they are in big trouble. So there's this girl. I'll pop the story up here. She goes to Dubai, and she's, attractive if you're into the bubble-headed blonde, facial surgery, and, of course, breast augmentation and all that. Are you into that? I don't know. I kind of like the natural girl next door look myself. So here it is. A glamorous law student will spend the next 25 years in a hellhole in Dubai. This girl's from the United Kingdom, but it's the same thing as the American. There's been plenty of American girls that have done the same thing. Let's see. She landed a devastating sentence after being found with 50 grams of coke at an apartment in Dubai, her mother said last week. O'Brien must pay a $136,000 fine for the crime, which involved about $3,000 and change worth of the drug. She pleaded not guilty. They don't have a just trial over there, distraught mother told the news. Yeah, they don't. And the United States is one thing with these naive girls, but the UK, like I was just saying, there's so many liberal people over there, and they see this invasion, and they think it's great. We're all the same, right? We're all the same people. It's great. We're all just humans, right? We all have the divine spark of God in us. And then you go over there and realize, I'm in Dutch. I'm in a bit of a jam here, ain't I? I'm looking at a picture of her. Hubba. She was just given a life sentence and has to serve 25 years, the mom said of her once promising daughter. The trial was all in Arabic. Yeah. What do you expect, dummy? And by the way, continue doing what you're doing in the UK, and those trials will all be in Arabic too. And you'll all cheer it. Good. We're so diverse. We're a wonderful nation. What did you say? I'm sentenced to what? I don't understand that language. The writing on my legal document looks like someone just dropped pubic hair on it. That's I can't read this. She is absolutely devastated by what has happened. She's strong, but I know she's going through a living hell, mom said of her daughter. She was studying law. Mia feels like she's destroyed her life. Yeah. Well, here's what happens. They meet someone in the UK, and they're from Dubai, and they come on to these girls. These girls, again, have no clue that this is a threat, that this is very bad, to try to have some common ground with these guys. They're some of the most misogynistic, abusive people on the face of the earth. And they want to take these beautiful Western girls back to their country because look at the choice they have when they're there. And then they treat them like garbage. These girls have no clue what's legal or illegal because they don't know the oppressive rules and laws that they have in these Islamic nations. O'Brien's being held at Dubai's infamous Central Prison, which is known for its inhumane conditions. I can't imagine any prison in Dubai isn't known for its inhumane conditions. Overcrowded cells and brutal guards. Rape is an everyday occurrence at the lockup, where guards and inmates engage in violent assaults, according to reports from a human rights watch group. Mia said she has to sleep on a mattress on the floor. She gets a mattress and shares with the cell with 6 other people. The prison conditions are horrendous. There's no staff, really. She has to bang on the big door if she needs anything. Is that what they call it? Banging on the big door. Hey, here comes some guards to do a little banging on the big door. She's seen fights and says it's really scared her. She's going to appeal her life sentence. I'm sure that'll go great. Hey, get a Jewish lawyer. I'm sure that'll go over great in Dubai. There's a GoFundMe. Hey, good deal, Mom. Mom set up a GoFundMe. Might as well make a few bucks while your daughter is the queen of the Dubai prison ball. Can you even? All right, we'll be back to finish up in moments with more of the Anthony Cumia Show.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It is the Anthony Cumia Show, and thank you so much for tuning in. This was an interesting statistic that I saw. The U.S. could see the first population decline ever in 2025 as international migration plummets. That's a good sign. I kind of like that. It might counter what we were just talking about in the last segment. United States could see the population shrink for the first time ever in 2025 as immigration numbers and birth rates, that's might not be as good, the birth rate thing, have plummeted according to, and then it just says a report. Could you maybe focus some of your news on people that want more information about the story? A report. Here, sir. Here's a report. What report? I'd like to read it and maybe get more info. Everything's just bull. It's all just lies. But I'd like to believe this. The net migration and immigration, legal or illegal, is down. The U.S. will fall off from about 2.8 million people coming into this nation to between 115,000 and negative 525,000. That's kind of a big sweep. Even at the lower end, it's still 96% fall in international immigration that we're having in this country. That is the Donald Trump thing. Let's be honest. That's the deportations. You know, I hear from a lot of people that they don't like that Trump isn't doing enough. He isn't deporting enough people on a daily basis. Look, we'd all like to see every single illegal in this country be able to be deported in one day. But you can't blame Trump for the damage that was done for 4 years in the past administration and then other previous administrations that have just allowed this invasion to happen. So he's doing enough that it is showing in these numbers. And one of the biggest things that I think kind of takes a back seat to the deportations is the fact that since he is deporting people and shutting the border down, we don't have the convoys, the crowds of people by the tens of thousands, millions a year coming across the border. So while we'd all like to see the deportations happen at an accelerated rate, at least it's, the hole in the boat is plugged. Now it's just time to bail it out. But it could be, if true, I'm going to do the mainstream media thing. If true, this could bode well for the United States. The population decrease also has been compounded by an apparent national sex recession. Are you involved in a sex recession? With America's fertility rate projected to average just 1.6 births over the next 30 years. Just one kid in 30 years? I know. I'm kidding, of course. And that replaces a rate of 2.1 children per woman, according to the Institute for Family Studies. So we got to not only throw people out, but guys, get in that sack. Start doing what you need to do. Grab her. Hold her close. Give her a big smooch and Get to it. Get to business, as they say. That's promising, though. I do like seeing the fact that the invasion isn't continuing. We'll see. All right, people, I applaud you and thank you for tuning in to this very program. We'll be here next week, so tune in then. And until then, Anthony Cumia on Twitter to see what I'm up to during the week. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to The Anthony Cumia Show. You can hear The Anthony Cumia Show Sunday nights at 8. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
It's your buddy Sid Rosenberg, and yeah, I'm famous. But guess what? So is my guy Mike. I love him. And his son Michael at Genesis of Brooklyn. This is not your typical dealership. Trust me, I've been there. It's a gorgeous place. The service, legendary. Brooklyn family values, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Free valet pickup up to 25 miles. Current year Genesis loaners. 3 years of maintenance included. Transparent, efficient, respectful, the best luxury service around. Genesis of Brooklyn. These are my guys, Mike and Mike. More luxury, less money.